It's pretty good.
All right. Good evening, everybody. This is Dan live on a Wednesday night. We got a great show for you. Talking with Melody, the tattooed medium, tonight. And we're going to be discussing all kinds of things in that lifestyle and stuff that I think that'll bring a lot of interest to you folks out there. And then during a question and answer period, in the chat box right beside the player, you can type in your questions and we'll answer them while we're here. All right? Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Okay. Hello, Melody. How you doing?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Wonderful. How are you today?
Top of the world, top of the world. So, Melody, let's start this out by talking about the different terminologies and what they mean, because there's an awful lot of confusion about that.
Oh, the difference between mediums and psychics
and all the others. And
empaths and yeah, there's a big difference. A psychic is somebody who would do more of predicting your future, talking about your romance, your love life, stuff like that, like where you're going, what you're doing. A medium is somebody more that talks to spirit on the other side. Now, an empath, I think a lot of people are very empathic because they're just sensitive. They know things, feel things, hear things. It's that instinct.
The feeling part is what most empaths hate, because empaths experience the emotions and feelings of people around them. They not just feel it as they feel it. In other words, like they're viewing it, but they actually take on the emotions and such.
Exactly. It's like when I read, I can feel their emotions, but I can also I do more of feeling on what's going on the other side with the spirits that come through.
So you speak directly with spirits from the other side and convey messages back and forth?
Yes, that's exactly what I do. I talk to them and bring loving messages to people. Let them know who's around them. Sometimes I can hear names, sometimes I can hear numbers. Numbers coordinate with months or dates. It depends on, the sitter always knows what the numbers stand for. So, when I hear a number, sometimes I can smell things, if they smoked or if they worked around a certain smell, like let's say something like hay or straw, if they worked around something like that, that would be a farming. You can smell somebody cooking still. It's that energy that you can still pick up, that they still carry with them.
Yeah. Now, you folks out there listening, if you would do me a favor, somebody, please type into the chat box and tell us how we're coming across, if the mic sounds good levels and such like that. Would you do that for me, please, somebody? Thank you. Now, these... do you actually hear words and speaking from the people on the other side?
I do. I hear them tell me words. They'll tell me sometimes how they passed, or certain things they enjoy doing. That's a big thing I'll hear a lot of. Just the way of coming through is with validations. So that way the sitter will know, exactly, that I'm on the right track here when I'm reading them. A lot of times they'll talk about things that they love. That's a big thing. I always notice that Spirit loves to talk about things they love doing when they were walking the earth.
Now, do you, well, I guess medium is kind of sums it up if you look at it. You kind of go between the person that comes in to see you and someone from the other side. And do you, like, carry on conversations back and forth for them?
Yes. Yeah. I just so basically when a sitter comes in and they sit, I'll bring their loved ones through and they'll talk to me. I'll hear what they're saying. I'll tell them who they are, who's around them. I'll talk about, like I said, things that I hear. It could be anything to do with cooking, baking, whatever.
Now, I guess a lot of people come to you looking for closure for the people that have gone to the other side. Has the people on the other side ever explained to you what it's like there?
Yes, actually they have. I've heard that, always let the family know I'm okay. I always hear I'm okay. I'm okay, I'm good.
You ever have anybody ever say, "Oh my God, it's terrible over here"?
No, I have not. But I have had, I guess we could call it, I have had an experience. I won't say near death, but I will say an experience while having a surgery. And it was quite interesting. It was during one of my surgeries. I remember a man taking me by the hand, and we kind of went through this wall, and it was like a wall of water. We went through it, and then I saw levels in the sky, like in the universe, levels. So I saw dimensional levels, and then he took me up to this top level, and I knew I wasn't dying because I didn't see the bright light like everybody talks about and stuff like that. But I kept asking what I was doing, and when I got up there, I said, "What is this?" And I saw these huge buildings. I saw these big white pillars. And he said, "This is where you come to learn after you pass. This is what you do. You come here and you learn."
Go through school
So it's like schooling. And I literally saw people just kind of moving back and forth. You could kind of tell male, female energy, but you couldn't see like physical form like you would see us sitting here. And then he kept saying, "This is what you do after you pass. You come back, you learn what you didn't finish when you were on Earth." And then I remember the nurses kept waking me up, telling me to breathe. Come on, get up, wake up, breathe. Yeah. You're okay, wake up. And then I woke up, and that was it. But it was at a point in my life where I knew I was ready to move on to do this more professionally.
Right.
But they were showing me how it really works.
Wow.
Yeah, so they showed me how it works. So it was a pretty cool experience. I'd say it was a good 13 years ago. It's a good while back.
That'll freak out a lot of people.
Yeah, it was very interesting. So now I've never really read up on the different dimensions, but I mean, a little bit of learning here and there. I've read up a little bit on different types of dimensions, but not that much that I really understand them. This is all stuff, I've been doing this since I was a small child, so.
Right. Now, I know I got to touch on this because I know they're going to yell at me if I don't. What about religions and faith and stuff like that? Does that factor into it anywhere? I mean,
I think it's all up on you. I think it's all up. It depends on the person, on how they feel, on what they go by. Everybody's got their own way of being. I'll be honest. I still go to church. We'll go to Catholic church. Take my parents and the priest and the nuns. The sisters just love me. I've talked to the sisters before, and they said, I asked them one day, I said, have you ever talked to angels? And they looked at me, and she goes, "I have." And I said, "Me too." And then we just had a wonderful conversation about it. And my mom's priest actually said that I had a gift from God. So that made me feel good, knowing that, Yeah. Because you always hear this, "Oh no, can't do this because this, you can't do that because this." Like, no, I'm not giving any horrible messages. I'm giving loving messages, So it made me feel more comfortable.
Well, I'm glad I asked that because there is a lot of confusion, a lot. And people, stereotype, like, well, if you're a medium or a psychic or an empath or any of those things, then you're a devil worshiper or you're an atheist, and so I'm glad we cleared that up right away. So all you guys out there that are religious, you can take a nice breath because these folks here are Christians too. So now, there are certain questions that I know my readers that the listeners are going to want to know, and stupid ones, like, for instance, have you spoken to Elvis?
No, honestly, I've never really tried to connect with any type of celebrities. I've only just done readings for people that have, come over or I've done videos with. I mean, I've actually had somebody come in from Germany, and I did a reading from somebody from Ireland. So, I mean, I've kind of traveled the world here in a sense. So, But no, I have not really, on that level, really tried to tap into it, opening those gates of the spirit world, because that's kind of like you're opening up another whole door.
Right.
So you're not sure, are you really going to get him, or are you going to get something else?
Oh, that could get scary.
Yeah, so I'm not the kind of person, I'm not ready to open that door. That's not me. I try to stay on more of a higher level, a higher Christ conscious level.
You know,
More of a-
I understand that entirely. It's sometimes you think you're aware that you can do more than you're doing, but you're a little leery of it. And before I go any further, I want to shout out to Diane. Diane, do me a favor and tell me how the mic levels are. We're coming across, please. Thank you. And yeah, there are different things that I think some people can do that they actually shy away from because it scares them.
Right. Well, it is scary because there are some dark things out there, and those dark things can attach to you or your home or your family, and I'm not opening those doors. I keep it dark. I pretty much try to stay in the light, stay protected, grounded, just do what I have to do to help people that really want closure.
Okay, looking at various things that Melody brought in, and Melody goes by the name The Tattooed Medium, and yes, she has tattoos, and she brought in a bunch of things here, and why don't you tell us a little bit, my Porky Pig routine. Tell us about them.
Well, I brought in a big piece of selenite, and this is something that, it's a crystal. It's a big white gem that I actually use when I connect with spirit. Just helps me like a connection. Okay, sometimes, wizards have their wands and stuff like that. It's kind of like my go-to piece to hold as for energy. And then I also have some oracle cards, which I offer to people at the end of a reading to help bring messages through. So, but I don't really read the cards. What I do is I'll pull the card. It's got this big paragraph on it. I'll listen to spirit and what they're saying and pick words here and there of, what I'm hearing from the other side, and that's how I use the cards.
Okay, great. Now, I imagine you've had quite a lot of amazing experiences. How long have you been actually doing this professionally?
I would say over 21 years, where I've actually been really getting into it, like really doing it to help people on a higher level. I've really been doing it since the late 90s.
Wow.
Yep.
Now, do you have a standard fee that you charge for this
I do.
kind of thing?
Yeah, I have fees for in-person, then I have fees for videos, and then I also offer email readings, which are nice. I do past life readings, all kinds of stuff. I do energy work.
That's fascinating. Now, there are other things, like, for instance, Reiki and
energy
what
work.
What are some of the other things?
Well, there's Reiki, which is a Japanese form of energy. I just call it energy work because I don't practice the Japanese method way of doing it. I practice just the natural energy. It's just like the way me and you were here talking and how we could feel each other's energy. It's almost the same thing. It's it's energy work. And I do a lot of chakra clearings.
Explain that. What is a chakra clearing?
Well, you have your 7 chakras, your main chakras from your which is your lower spine up to your crown, which is your head. And I work on people that come over. I have a big piece of selenite, and I use a wand, and I help move that energy that's stagnant. A lot of people hold a lot of trauma or pain or hurt, and we all hold it in our stomachs. It's in our soul. So our solar plexus, and I just help them move that energy out and teach them how they can do this on a daily basis to keep it from dealing with depression or old things that no longer serve them.
And now, what about things like auras? Do you read auras?
I don't do it a lot, but I can do it. I can tell if somebody has an aura, what color the aura is around them. I just don't seem to do it much. I have noticed that.
What my aura is? What is it?
I can see a little gray, and I can always see some yellow.
I'm out of hair, so that doesn't work.
I can definitely see some yellow around you, which is bright.
What is gray and yellow? Is there a meaning for those?
There are meanings for them. Gray would be more almost like holding back, like a blocking, that you're holding back from doing things. But yellow is more of the bright. I definitely see a blue. Blue is more of the spiritual side, so it's just like not letting, maybe you're holding on to not doing something you should be doing, like holding back.
My doctor told me to walk 30 minutes a day, and I haven't done it.
You told him? No, you said no.
I haven't done it.
Is that the concrete color?
That's the gray.
That's the concrete color.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, hopefully she's not listening.
Oh, gosh.
All right. So now, where do you think these abilities come from?
Well, I'll be honest, I've been doing it since I was a little kid.
Well, not just in you, but I mean in general. I mean, all the different people. I mean, do you have an idea where these abilities come from?
Are you talking in the sense of how we hear it, or?
Well, how do you obtain it?
Oh, I feel like everybody has it. It's can they tap into it? Okay, a lot of people are, oh, I just know that this one's doing this, or I just know this is happening. Well, they do know. Okay, when they say that, they do know what's going on. A lot of people just try to second guess themselves, but it's just all in your crown chakra, all in your head, your third eye area. It's just opening those up and being able to hear it.
I have a theory about it, and actually I believe this, is that everybody in their mind, to put it into easy to understand terms,
Okay.
your mind is like a long, long, long hallway with doors on both sides all the way along the hallway. And at birth, everybody has the standard set of doors open to them, mostly. The ability, the five senses, you could walk, talk, smell, hear, see, things like that. And the ability to reason and the ability to think. And some people have other doors open to them that are closed to most people. Like, for instance, your ability to be a medium, you have that door open. I'm an empath, and I have that door open. A math genius has the math genius door open. And it's a simplistic way of explaining it, but that's kind of how I see it, is that everybody is born with all of these things built into them. It's just some of us have certain doors open that others don't.
It's a very good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Very good way. Yep, exactly. And it's like when you're little, a lot of people just grow out of it. We've all had our make-believe friends. We've all talked to the spirits on the other side when we were little. A lot of people, when they get up older, parents will be like, oh, no, or blow it off for the kids. No, with my family, that didn't happen. My mom encouraged it. Okay, she encouraged me to talk to the spirits, and then as I grew up, it was the same thing. She encouraged me to to do what I do.
We had 6 kids in a one-bedroom apartment. My mother did never encourage us to say anything. She mostly encouraged us to shut up.
It's a lot.
All right, so what do you do with this gift?
As far as
What happens?
You share it with others, you have people come to you or do things. What do you do with it?
for the demonology is what
Yes.
you're saying.
Yeah.
It's basically,
And he doesn't look like a demon.
well, that's debatable.
If I see horns coming out of your head, I'm out of here.
Done.
Pretty much it's all knowledge, it's to help people. It's to help people and get them guided on the right path to stay in the light and out of the dark. Sometimes you picture it like this. Somebody's in a dark room and you just go in and flip the light on. You got to keep them in the light.
Okay. And that's what you do.
Yes.
Keep in the light. Well, it's good for a demonologist.
Yes.
Because when everybody says something like, I'm a demonologist, the first thing you think of, Satan worshiper.
Well, and I'm going to say this because
For
a
the
lot of
record.
people, yeah, pretty much, because a lot of people are like, oh, demonologist, well, you have to have certificates and papers and, they want you to be certified, okay?
How the hell do you get certified to be a demonologist?
It's kind of like being
You
a medium.
can.
How the hell does it happen? Huh?
But here's the thing. Anybody can get certified for anything as long as you have the money.
Some people are just certifiable.
Yes.
It's that greed again.
In my belief, knowledge, like they say, knowledge is power.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I do. I keep reading, I keep learning. And the more I learn, so I'm going to basically call myself an uncertified demonologist. We'll call it that.
Is that the politically correct version?
Probably, because, a lot of people might hear this and be like, they might get offended. But you know what?
I don't do offended. I mean,
I
what the hell,
offend.
when they start telling me there's 72 genders, I just say to hell with it and give up.
Well,
Right.
I'm just scratching my head on that one. But anyway, yeah, it's my belief that you shouldn't have to have papers just to say you're one thing or the other.
Exactly.
Learn about it. It's like anything. If you want to do something, you want to learn something,
Do it.
then just do it. But, make sure you learn everything that you need to the correct way. You don't want to get caught up in anything that can take you on the wrong path. Always want to stay in the light.
Yeah, now I imagine in the area of demonology, I mean, the name alone is enough to give you chills and shivers, I mean, demons. And when you say you're a demonologist, it's like right away you figure one of two things. Either he's a demon or he slays them, I mean, that's what goes through my mind when you first hear that. Past life experience.
Basically, he studies it.
I study it.
He helps, talking to people. He doesn't go out and do, releasing of the
I'm not going
the
out
demons.
trying to be
No
like the
exercise.
exorcist.
No, he
Right.
doesn't exercise.
Right.
No.
If I see any pea soup coming from anywhere, I'm gone then too.
He's very empathic, and he feels like things with people around him too, so which is pretty awesome.
I just try to, like I say, try to help people. Try to keep them knowledgeable about it. We've actually done a couple things. One that I always talk about is some people think fairies are cute and this and that. Okay, fairies are actually pretty evil little things. I'll just leave it at that.
That's an element and
It
elemental.
was elemental. It was actually just Walt Disney that made them cute
Oh, okay.
for people. Okay,
Well, I'm Irish, so I mean, we're used to that stuff. If you ask an Irishman, do you believe in little people? He'll tell you no, but they're there.
but yeah, I mean, okay. So you see Disney and how they made them cute, but if you've ever watched the Harry Potter movies, and you see how they were portrayed in there, they were like evil little demons.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they are.
Really?
Yes.
What about leprechauns?
I haven't had any. I
I
have.
haven't met any, but well, if I do, I'll have a bottle of the whiskey ready for them.
Where's your gold?
Single malt, of course.
You have seen gnomes.
I've seen gnomes.
Really?
I have.
What are they like?
I've just seen them. I was in my in-law's backyard, and I looked up. I was walking the dogs out back, and I just felt like a set of eyes on me.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked up, and I saw him standing up on the tree line.
Wow.
And I just looked at him, and I just kind of stared at him for a second. And then the dog moved, and I looked down at the dog and looked back up real quick, and he was gone.
It's like a dimensional traveler.
One of the things that gets me is that I see things, and I'm not talking about visions or whatever, but just normal everyday things. But people are blind to what goes on around them. They don't see. And my favorite example of that actually has to do with my bike shop. I used to have a custom Harley shop, and I had a oil display, 4 foot wide, 8 foot tall, 2 feet deep, filled top to bottom with oil bottles. And I had a guy standing right in front of it. I mean, like 2 feet in front of it, looking at it, and said, "Do y'all sell oil here?" When I was leaving downtown, I built my new building on Rockcliffe Drive, and when I was leaving Queen Street, a guy stops. He saw me with the truck and all, and he said, "Oh, bike shop moving in." I said, "No, bike shop moving out." He says, "What?" I said, "I've been here 12 years." He goes, "Oh, no way. Been going by here every day for 5 years, going to work and coming home from work, and I never saw your shop."
blinded by the material world.
Yeah, but they're just blinded.
Blinders. They have
And
blinders on.
I think for a lot of people it's intentional because they don't want to know what's going on around them because it might be uncomfortable for them.
Society puts these blinders on us because they want us to see a certain way.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
Well, see, they never let me in society, so I missed that lesson.
It's like this if you think about it, okay? You know how earlier when you all were talking about how you've had this gift since you were a child, okay? So we all have our own certain gifts as children, but as we grow up, some keep them because they're embraced. The rest of us, what happens to us is society gets into us, and it takes all that from us.
It's kind of like the ability to believe in Santa Claus when you're a kid. It grows out of you.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
It's not just that you believe, it's that you're able to believe.
Right.
And adults crowd their lives with so many things that tell them, that stuff can't be true. And people have a natural knee-jerk reaction to anything they don't understand. They won't believe it. They just, shut it out completely. But then you run into people like you folks, and life gets really interesting. And now I'm going to tell a little bit about the empath part of things, and then we're going to share our experiences, and then we're going to let you folks ask us questions. And shout out goes out to Aaron and Siren Susie. Hiya, Susie. Thanks for listening. It's always nice to have you out there. Now, I'm an empath. And what that means is empaths take on the emotions and feelings of people around them and experience them as if they're their own. And I've often wondered a lot of times the ACDC, what the hell is the term? Fluctuating emotions
Like
that
the voltage, the current.
people have. What do they call it? There's a four-letter AC or ADHD or something.
Yeah, ADHD.
Yeah, that. And one of the things that I've often wondered is the people with bipolar and stuff like that. Shrink says, he's bipolar. Well, what the hell? Walking down the street and you walk by somebody who saturates you with negative energy and your mood dips. You go by somebody with positive energy and your mood goes up. But a lot of them aren't aware they are empaths. They're not aware of it. They don't know it. And these mood swings aren't their own. So there's no diagnosing, there's no help for it, because they can't until they learn how to block. But if they don't understand that they're empaths, they'll go through life thinking they're having crazy mood swings and they don't know why.
That was me for the longest time because I was actually diagnosed bipolar, ADHD, all that crap.
Mm-hmm.
And they put me on like a whole list of medications. None of them worked for me.
Right.
And they could never figure out why they wouldn't work. So, I got tired of them using me as a guinea pig because at one point the doctor actually, how he prescribed them for me, he basically tried to have me overdose on them.
Right. That's crazy.
And I wound up in the hospital.
Oh, man.
So I was like, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm done with all them. Figured it out.
Yep. And I do really believe that a lot of people go through life with a gift, and they're not aware that it's a gift. They think that they're having some kind of mental or emotional problems, and they're trying to deal with it with drugs and doctors and things, and it's not working. Now, I'm not telling anybody out there who has problems to just go, well, what the hell, I'm an empath, or I'm a demonologist, or I'm a medium. Chances are you may not be, so, seek help. But if you find it, explore the possibility that your mood swings or all these other things, these visions you're having or whatever, explore the possibility that it is something other than standard textbook is going to say what you have. Now, I've been an empath all my life because even as a child, and I can remember being 4, 5, 6 years old, and adults would come up to me and tell me things and ask me my opinions and ask me to help them. And I'm talking like, when you're 5 years old and there's a 35-year-old man standing there saying, "What do I do?" You look at him like, "What the hell?" And it took me a while before I understood that I never even heard of empath. But then when I did, I started to understand, because I have people who come up to me on the street and they will block my path and stop me. And they start talking like we're in the middle of a conversation. We're old buddies. Like we've known each other all my life and our lives, and we're total strangers. And whenever I'm out with my wife, she's been around me now long enough. Whenever somebody comes up and blocks my path, she just automatically wanders off. She calls them my people. One of your people is here.
Is that how we met?
It might have
Do you
been.
remember?
No,
I came here to get something from your wife.
Oh yeah, I was up on the roof painting.
Yeah, and then you came down, we started talking, and you disappeared. And we just talked about spiritual stuff out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah, I remember, and you gave me that rock, and I still have it.
Yeah, we talked for like an hour. And
Yeah.
I had this rock in my pocket, didn't know who it was for. And I gave it to him.
Yeah, it was cool. I still have it right here.
And then she introduced me to you, and then there we went.
Yeah. So that's, the way it is with empaths. I've had people tell me things, I wish I could bleach my ears out, But they tell me, they just stop and they tell me stuff. And I just sit there, and 99% of the times, I don't even have to respond. I don't say a single word. I just stand there. And they unload whatever it is that's burdening them. And then they smile and say thank you and walk off. And I still hadn't said anything. I didn't even say hello. I just stand there like a sounding board and let them unload. I've had people knock on my door, total strangers knock on my door. I had a woman one day, I'm sitting in my living room, hear her knock on the door, open the door, and there's a woman standing there. She goes, "I know I was supposed to turn left by the cemetery, but I missed it. You know what I'm saying? And where should I have gone?" And I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is one of my people again. Come on in. All right. And you were trying to visit somebody and you lost your way. She goes, "Well, yeah, of course." Like I'm supposed to know that. And I said, "Here's the phone. Call them and get directions from here. Here's the address." But, it's been like that all my life. And I've had some really horrible things and some really beautiful things. And I'm going to share one horrible, one beautiful, and pass it on to you folks to...
Hi, Lissa.
Oh, Lissa.
Christy.
Hi, Christy.
Glad everybody's here.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. This is Dan with Melody and Ray, and we're talking about psychics and mediums and demonologists and empaths and all kinds of things. Oh, my.
I was just getting ready to say.
Yeah,
I
right.
was just waiting.
Yeah, Wizard of Oz.
She said, "Oh my."
But
Go ahead.
what do you think of us talking about how me and you studied demonology? So Ray studied demonology, and we were at an event where there was plenty of mediums, energy workers, paranormal groups. It was a big event. And there's one particular psychic medium there that does readings for people that I know, it's kind of iffy. And everybody has their iffy moments. I'm not cutting her down. She does what she does.
She's her own people with her own people.
Yeah, she does her thing. And, she does good sometimes, and then, just like all of us, we all have our ups and downs. So anyway, her personal assistant decided that she wanted to come to me secretly and get a reading. And she told me, she said, "Mel."
And she was looking over her shoulder the whole time.
And she was so scared, and she said, "I smell sulfur. I smell sulfur." And the first thing that came to me was something that he says, and I'm like, ugh, this is scary. So I didn't want to scare the lady, of course, and I put it off as, look, this is what I need you to do. I want you to start working on your spiritual gifts. Make sure you go into the light, protect yourself, you're always grounded. Just took her into a different, way of looking at things.
A different mindset.
Yeah, I didn't want her to be scared of what was going on around her.
Or go raise any red flags or alarms with her medium.
Right. So this is what Ray was talking about, how people make deals with the dark side. And those people that do that,
for their gift, basically, they have to pay for it. And when you make a deal, you're already giving them your soul. But if you want to continue to use that gift to the strongest ability that you're able to, you need to continue feeding it. So the more people you bring into your fold, the more you're feeding. You're basically supplying that dark side with the fuel to give you and keep your gift in top form.
You haven't made any deals like that, right, Ray?
No.
Because if you are, there's the door.
No, mine, I'm awakening on my own.
Right.
Mel is helping me, but other than that, it's not worth it to me to make any kind of deals. Not for something that I already know is in me.
Yeah, because you've been doing spiritual work before I met you.
Yeah. I did it for a while, and then I gave it up. And then
It was
once,
there.
Yeah, once we
back
got
and
together,
forth.
then I started again. But those types of mediums, though, you really have to watch, because the more people they bring into their fold, they're just taking them down.
The thing is, how do you know? And how I look at it is, I've talked to other clients, like my clients that kind of go back and forth. I've seen my clients literally decline and can come out of the light and come out of that energy and really just almost like hitting the floor. Like they've just like, I could go over and scrape them off the floor, because they'll come, oh my God, Melody, what's going on with me? Why is this happening? Why is this happening? Why is this? And I can't, I'm just
It's because she's
you need
feeding
to reconnect.
on them.
You need to, I don't say anything. I just like, you need to reconnect.
Well,
you
how
need
do
to
you
get
tell?
back to the light.
How do you tell when, for somebody out there that's listening and they want to go talk to somebody, how can they tell whether or not it's a dark or light person they're talking to?
They start to feel drained. They're basically an energy
Like a
vampire.
psychic sponge.
They're going to
Something.
feed off of them.
Gotcha.
So, yeah,
Right,
it's
staying in the light.
yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
well, I can
listen.
tell you right now, I've been to your events, and as an empath, absorbing the energies of everybody around me, that's interesting. Holy crap.
Well, it's like when
This time, I go home and I just look at my wife. I need a bath.
Exhausted.
I'm going in the tub. Don't talk to me.
Right? Yeah, it's basically staying in the light. I know when I do my readings, I stay in the light and I give positive, loving messages. I know some people, I guess different mediums do things differently. I guess you could probably tell by the way the person reads you. I really haven't had readings by many others. I worked with one lady from from Wisconsin many years ago, and she would always tell me things bad that were going to happen to me that year. You know what I mean? And
Didn't she ever tell you good stuff?
some.
Why
but
the
it
hell
was
has it always
mostly-
got to be bad?
She would always tell me things that were bad. So here you are waiting for this bad stuff to happen, and it would too. And I was like, I didn't want to,
Yeah.
conversate anymore because it's kind of scary.
You don't even want to know it.
Yeah, I don't want to know the bad stuff because I don't. So now I'm just like with spirit when I hear things. No, I don't want to know. Don't tell me. It happens. What happens.
Yeah.
So I try to stay more in the light area and try to avoid those messages.
And you mainly
I
do.
don't
I've
a- I
never
don't
seen
ask.
you ever go towards any type of dark or gray or anything.
Right? They do
But
suck it.
yeah, Alyssa, you're right. They do. The bad types do. They just suck your energy out of you, the life out of you. They're feeding on you because they need to feed that gift that they have, because they have to pay for it still. It's like they're renting. And every month you have to pay rent or you get evicted.
Wow.
There you go. There's a good analogy right there for it.
Damn. All right, we're going to share some of our experiences now, and then we'll take a short break after that and give you a time to come up with some questions for us, and we'll be happy to answer them. And I'll kick it off. And an empath both attracts and repels. I walk down the street or even through a store, and I'll see people look up at me, and they will either drift towards me physically, or they will look at me and have this surprised look on their face, like shock. And man, they'll turn away quick. I've seen people actually cross the street to avoid me, people I don't know. I'm not that damn ugly. So, but they subconsciously sense that I'm peeping their whole card. I know what's going on. They don't understand why they're drawn to me. They don't understand why they're repelled by me. But they just know it. And either they come to me, like I posted on Facebook the other night when I was at the China King up here on Moeller Avenue.
Yeah.
And I thought that was one of the fun ones. The little girl comes in with her parents. For those who hadn't seen the little thing I posted, little girl comes in with her parents. Turns out, I found out later, she was 3 years old. Name was Athena. And she walks in with her parents, and she looks up. She comes through the door, and she looks up, and she's holding the daddy's hand. She gets this huge smile on her face and makes a beeline for me and crawls up in my lap, just like out of nowhere. And her mom comes rushing over. Oh, I'm so sorry. She never does that. She's never done anything like that before. And I'm saying, it's okay. I'm used to it, but usually the girls are bigger. But we hung out and we talked for a little bit. The little girl stayed in my lap. I put her down. She climbed right back up again. And her dad took pictures and sent me one, which was really cool. And that was a fun one. I think the worst one for me, it's hard. There's a lot of bad ones. I'm also drawn to places and people.
That's why you were gifted that from God.
Yeah.
You have a gift from God.
To help people.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll get a notion I have to be somewhere. Mm-hmm. And usually it's for good. I have found 4 dead people. That's the not so good part. I actually got there just a moment before somebody was killed in front of me. Not a good one.
No.
But I went to, I was out driving around in a truck with a friend of mine. And, excuse me, he said, what do you want to do? I said, we need to go to the park. This was actually in Winchester. So we need to go to the park. And he goes, why? I said, don't ask questions. We need to go to the park. I get a feeling I have to be somewhere. And so we went to the park, and there was this big exhibit of artists and things like craftspeople there. And I just got out of the truck and I started walking, and I kept feeling myself getting pulled in a certain direction. I just kept going, and I got in front of this woman's art display. She had tables up, chairs behind it, and I just stopped. Need to be here, and I never know why. So I'm standing there, and the woman looks up at me, and her eyes get wide, and she says, "Come back here and sit with me." Now, we're total strangers. And Mike is with me. He's going, "What the hell is this about? What do you mean, come sit with you? Do you know her?" I said, "Just shut up, Mike. Just wait.
It's one of your people.
It's one of my people." So I went around behind. I sat down in a chair with her for a few minutes, and then she goes, "I really want to thank you." She said that for weeks, I've been so excited about setting up. This is my first art exhibit, and it was like the highlight of my life, but I have an irregular heartbeat. And it's been acting up for 2 weeks now, and I thought I was never going to make it here. But this morning it was really bad, but I didn't care. I wanted this so badly. She said, "The moment you sat down next to me, my heart started beating perfectly. And it's better than it's been that I can remember." Now, that was one of the good ones.
Right.
The time the lady, I guess really the worst was someone else. It's kind of a toss-up. I was driving down the road, and someone said, "Stop the car." And I did, and I walked up into the woods. I found a woman half buried. That's enough of that. Okay, we're going to turn it over now to...
That's good, because that's just them showing you.
Well, yeah, you get to help people.
Right.
Like, I had someone told me to go to this one building development. What are all those townhouses and stuff people live in, development?
Yeah, like the row houses and all that stuff.
Yeah, and some said, go there. And all I do is I just keep going in the direction I feel pulled in. Woman walks up to me on the street, total stranger. She hands me a set of keys. And she says, this key, he's in 2B. I haven't heard from him. So I took the key, I went up, and I found him in bed dead. And went back out and held her, and she cried, and on that went. Those, yeah, okay, maybe yeah, but I hate it.
Right.
I watched a 14-year-old girl. We were out on our bikes, a bunch of us riding. I said, I got to go over to Inwood. Everybody was, no, they were arguing with me. And this is this is one thing I regret more than anything in my life. I took too long, and I finally said, okay, to hell with it, we're going. And my wife and I rode over and got by the 7-Eleven, went up towards Darkiesville. And there's a road, goes up a hill, and then sudden drop down. I saw a girl walking down the middle of the street, and I locked up the brakes on the bike, put down the kickstand, turned around, and before I can get to her car, came over the hill and killed her. It was a 14-year-old girl. I hate those.
And you can't get it out of your head. It's
just
something you hold on to.
Forever.
Yeah.
You see this every night. I see it just about every night, and I hate that.
It's that part of the gift that just you can't.
That's the PTSD that it causes.
Yeah.
It does. It causes a sense of PTSD.
Well, I mean, I did a reading once for a lady. Oh my goodness. It's probably been, I can't remember how long. I'd say early 2000s. And she had lost her daughter and her husband, like everybody in 1 year. It's one of those, like she lost a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Well, her daughter used to babysit my daughter. And her daughter was killed in a car accident. And when I was reading her daughter came through and actually showed me the accident and how everything happened and how I could literally see, I'm not going to put it in your heads because it's something I can't get out of mine, but literally how she passed from point A to point B to the end. And,
I see that. If anybody even mentions it, I already play things like that through in my head.
And I just can't get out of my head. So now when I do readings, I make it very clear to my guides on the other side that I do not want to see the physical death.
Does that work? Do they block it for you?
Mm-hmm. I don't want to see the physical death. They can tell me if it was suicide. They can tell me if it was a car accident. They can tell me if it was an addiction. They can talk to me, but they cannot physically, I cannot see that. I am blocked from that. I completely block myself from seeing that. I mean, I could probably see if somebody ran off the road, but I don't want to see them.
Right.
In
the actual,
No, after that, I was done. I put a big block up on that. I said, never again do I ever want to see that ever again. That was the worst thing I ever saw. And it's like it comes back to you. You just see it. It's like with that child. You sit across the street. It's something you'll never. It's implanted. You can't get rid of it.
What's your best experience?
Best? I don't
Me.
know about best.
They are a couple, by the way, in case you haven't figured that out.
Oh, I'm glad my feet are up.
At night they sleep with an electrified fence to keep the thoughts from crossing over.
No, that's the dogs. That's the dogs.
Oh shoot. I don't know. I've had some pretty interesting experiences. I've had, I mean, I won't get into the whole thing, but I have had a crazy ex that I know was put in my life for a reason. I know I had to meet him for a reason again because I was past life stuff. This man actually had an entity attachment because you could hear it growling. Like if people came over.
This is a happy one?
No, this is a bad one. This is a bad one. No, I'm going into the bad first.
Okay.
But it's interesting. It's interesting how it all happens. But I'm not going to, like I said, get to the whole story, but he did have a bad attachment, and I always had to deal with, him being so evil. Like, who in their right mind runs people off the road out of nowhere, who can go from happy to wanting to kill somebody so quickly, and then when you're at the house always hearing these growling sounds and getting up at 3 a.m. and being pushed out of bed or being pushed up the steps or he had some pretty nasty things going on with him. So my guides always showed me what he was doing. Always showed me. My guides always show me what's going on. So they showed me something he did, and I was pretty upset about it. And I told him that I was done, no more. And he said if I left, that he would try to take me out of this world. Well, he had to go to Florida for a job, and I figured that was the good time to dip, to run away and get out of there as quick as possible. So I did, and then he tried, we'll get into that part. But anyway, before I actually moved out, I remember laying up in the bed and crying when he wasn't there. And I was at the worst part of my life, and I was just crying that I know the spirits were with me. I knew my guides were with me, begging them to show me that they were real, because I guess when you're at the lowest point of your life, you want proof. And I needed that proof. And I begged and cried to see somebody. I said, show me you're real. And at that moment, I saw a beautiful white face appear literally right beside me in my bed. And I'll be honest, it scared the daylights out of me. I was so scared. I was scared.
What's funny is as you say this, I can see this.
The silhouette of the white face.
Yeah.
And this white face, she was beautiful. She was just standing right next to me at the bed. And she didn't move her face side to side. You couldn't see eyes, nothing like that. No hair, just the beautiful facial features. And I was like, my crying, everything stopped. And I was like, okay, I got it. I totally got it. I know you're real. I know you're here. I'm good. I'm good. I got it now. So that was a validation for me, a confirmation that I was on the right path and that I was doing right and that they were real, that my spirit guides were real. So, and then after that, I just kind of left and had to deal with the madness for about a year and a half, I guess.
Wow.
And that's when I knew I had a vision that I would see him and meet him. And
she got her happily ever after.
Oh, dear God. So anyway.
I got a song for you in a minute.
So anyway, yeah, he walked into my work one day, sat down, and I saw him.
We were both actually working there.
Yeah, but I never met you there.
Yeah.
And he walked in, and I looked at him. I said, "Oh shit, that's who I'm supposed to meet." I knew it. As soon as I looked at him, I said, "That's the one."
So you walked up and said, "By the way, you're my boyfriend now," and
He
I'm
walked
not
up-
asking
No, I
you to
walked
tell
in.
me."
I think I dropped my backpack.
He dropped his backpack.
And I said, "So, I hear you're having problems."
He said, "I'm having problems at home," and I'm like, "Yeah, actually, I am."
Wow.
So
And I patrolled the place
He
with a
stayed at
45 on my side.
Good friend.
so that's how we got together.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
And things chilled out. The other one finally
That's our
went to
origin
jail
story.
many times. And, yeah.
Ray, why don't you tell us some of your stories? Give us a couple of stories, a good one and a bad one.
I don't even know.
Because see, mine was good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
It was good and bad.
Yeah, because it ended up with him.
Well, no, not that part. I was talking about the spirit guide part.
And Ray's sleeping out in the yard tonight.
I was talking about the spirit guide. Kidding.
I'll go in the chicken coop, I guess.
The ducks alone.
Got a shout out going out to Caitlin. Thanks for tuning in. All right. Ray, share a story with us. And then we're going to after the story, we're going to take a brief break. And then we're going to take questions from all you folks out there.
I'm not sure, really. I mean, we've had
Our experiences together.
we've had a lot of our experiences together, just everything. I mean, of course, I've been through some bad stuff, but I mean, who hasn't? You know?
I've lived such a charmed life.
Yeah. Well, mine was just bad choices. You know,
So you don't have any special stories you want to share? One good one?
I'm not really. I don't know. I mean, I don't really have a lot of.
I don't know, but basically, I mean, a lot of the stuff that happened, like when we were living up on the mount, over at the mountain, that, you know, we would just know things. We would know if he was outside, like my crazy ex hanging outside. We would just know it, even though he would hide in the woods. We just knew it. And one day I looked and I said, "He's wearing camo and he's outside."
And I walked outside and I had the 45 in my hand.
And I called the police.
It was the full moon. And I know he saw that shine from the 45 because I saw, you know, how you can have like the headlights are red. Mm-hmm. I saw that over on the side by a transformer.
Oh.
So I had the 45 in my hand and I'm just I pick it up a little bit and I'm walking over towards the transformer and he was gone before I got there.
But when I called the police and they went and got him, he was wearing camo and they caught him. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we would just know. We would just know things. That's that empath part.
Empath, yeah.
Just knowing that, you know, what was going on around us.
I'm gonna share one funny one. Did you have something else you want to say?
Well, the only thing I was going to say is I guess one thing is I used to do disaster restoration. And I was always the one that got sent to clean up suicides.
Ugh.
And I would always, and I still see them.
I dated 2 girls that committed suicide, but not because of me. No, I mean, it was long after.
Right.
But, I mean, I could always, all of them that I did, and the worst one I ever did was, he was an 18-year-old boy, and where his bedroom was and where his mother's was, she was home sleeping in her room, and his room was right next to it. And he put a shotgun to his head right in his doorway with his mother sleeping next door.
Oh.
And I can see that. And I see everything that happened from that. Not just from me having to go in and clean it up, but I still visually, I can see it. Mm. And I feel like, right now, I can still feel like the pain and everything, like from the mother, what she's feeling this whole time, the anxiety, the stress, everything that she's going through. I feel what he felt leading up to that. You know, it's just, that is the main one that sticks in my head because that boy needed help.
Yeah.
but
he was too afraid to reach out for it.
And that's why we want to make people aware of their feelings. You know, that's what I want to do is like, and that's what he does too. Is when I do readings, I'll have him sit in on them so he can help the sitters. Like, and it's good practice for Ray because he'll be like, okay, I feel like it was here or here on my body, you know, and he'll be able to feel out what's
like
going on.
when we were getting our tattoos, one of our tattoos was sitting there, and the poor girl, her, I don't know, boyfriend or whatever he was, had just committed suicide, but we didn't know. Mm-hmm. Know that had happened. But I was just sitting there, and I kept looking at Mel. I was like, I feel this pain, like, and it turns out he shot himself.
Damn. Going to have one funny one, and then we're going to cut to a break, play a couple of songs while Melody and Ray and I discuss a few things and give you a chance. When we come back, have your questions ready. And Caitlin, is that me Irish pixie out there? Oh, she's a grand girl. Now, she's a pixie. She's a good one. Oh, she's adorable. Oh my God. Anyway, the funniest one for me was I sense things even in my sleep. And one day I woke up on my front porch, stark naked. Okay? I wasn't conscious until I was already standing on my porch. It was just sunup. Hi, Liz. And as my eyes focused, there's a guy sitting in my car going through my glove compartment. Now, here's a 200-pound biker with my hair by the time was down my shoulders, my beard was down to my belly.
I was going to say, how old?
200. This is going back about 30 years.
Okay.
And There's this 200-pound biker, naked, tattooed, long-haired, bearded guy staring at this guy in my car. I had no idea, what the hell I was even doing there. But I looked, his eyes got as big as saucers. He looked at me. I have never seen fear register like that in my life. And I have never seen anyone run as fast as that in my whole life. In a blink of an eye, he was down the block and turning the corner, and I swear, he must have set a land speed record.
Like his feet didn't even touch the floor. It's just like he floated.
He was gone. He was just like gone. Oh, Caitlin, it's great that you're out there.
And they just, for me to talk to them, and understanding, about what's going on. Forgot the word.
Okay.
Anyway.
That's one of the big things. This is, this whole psychics and empaths and mediums and demonologists and all, it's misunderstood. A lot of it is, there's a lot of myths and false stories about what it means, what it is, and about the people involved in it.
And the media.
The media,
Media
don't get
will
me started.
stretch it so far out.
They don't give a damn about truth. All they care
Well,
about
I'm going
is,
to tell you, you watch some of these ghost hunting shows,
oh God,
and it's just ridiculous.
I
was on one.
I did a ghost hunters show. I broadcast. Well, I recorded it at the Apollo Civic Theater here in Martinsburg, and I had these group Echo Paranormal came in, and I recorded it on film. And it ended up being 5 hours of film. And the woman was actually communicating with some of the ghosts at the Apollo. And I wrote a story about it. And you can find that on Pretty Good Creations here somewhere later. There's a story about that ghost at the Apollo Haunted Theater.
I've been there.
But that was quite an experience.
It is. I remember when I was there. First thing I walked in, I smelled the cigar smell. I saw the old time like gangsters. I saw the old cars where the doors opened up the wrong way. The other way.
Suicide doors.
I saw women dancing up on the stages. I saw dresses.
Wow.
I saw everything. It was just all. It was just overwhelming. And I remember going home, and I did not ground to protect myself before I went in there. And I was home, and I was sick for days after that.
Wow.
Sick for days. So you have to remember when you go into these kind of buildings to always protect yourself, ground yourself.
Kind of like us this past Sunday.
Oh my gosh. Do we have time? Do we have a quick talk about this?
Yeah, sure.
So we went to, one of my clients owns a business in Gaithersburg. And he says things have been flying off his shelves at customers.
He actually
and
had videos of
videos.
signs.
Like,
There was nothing touching him. There was no crosswinds, no nothing. And these signs he was standing there talking to a customer at his at a register, and the sign popped right off and hit the customer in the head.
Wow.
a couple times.
And then there was another
Different
time
one, different
where
places.
a heavier sign
I wouldn't want to be that customer.
had just same thing. It just popped right off.
Right. So we went in there and we did our ghost box session for him so he could hear the voices. And I definitely told him that there is a lot of activity in that place. And so we get in the car and I said to Ray, Ray, we need to put it out there. We don't want them to follow us home. And he got a little quiet, which is unusual because I think Ray left his guard down a little bit because normally he's very protective. He's like, when we go places, he's like my Incredible Hulk. Like he's like my guard, my protector. You know, I'm trying to make you feel good here.
While we were off mic, we were talking about losing weight. Go ahead.
Right. So he always puts off that energy of guarding and protecting. And I said, we got in the car and I said, Ray, I'm telling you, somebody's following us home. No, nobody's following us home. I'm like, put it out there. Put it out there that they need to go and they can't follow us home. So he's in the car and he's like, yeah, okay, can't follow us home. And I'm like,
Put some emotion in it.
this is not him.
I just wasn't.
We're having Cheerios for breakfast.
No, this was not.
all there. I mean, I just.
Because you hear his voice, he can usually be really firm and be like, okay, you need to go. He didn't have that firm. So we get home, and the first thing my daughter shows me, as soon as we walk in the door, she goes, Mom, what the hell, did you bring somebody home with you? And I'm like, why? And she's looking at my phone, and it was texting by itself.
Oh, my.
She just
It was just going insane by itself.
She laid it on the back of the chair, and you could watch it, and it was just going.
Tick, 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 tick.
So ghosts can text.
Oh, I could tell you some stories about that. So anyway.
I can't even text.
Oh, they can do a lot of things. They use your phone. They evolve like we evolve. They evolve like we do. So anyway, I was up. We didn't get home till late. He went to bed, and April has the back room, and in the kitchen there was a bag over on the stove. And next thing I know, the bag fell. It was like 2 a.m. Nobody's in the kitchen. Me and the dogs were in the living room. Dogs are sleeping. April's in her room. And we're like, what the hell was that? And my dog, goes around the corner and she's growling and barking. And I'm like, shh, you're going to wake everybody up. Like, stop.
I didn't hear her.
But I went in there to see what she was doing. And I'm like, I told him. I knew somebody came home with us.
I didn't do it.
And, right? So the dog was freaking out. April comes out of her room and she's like, what the hell's going on out here? And I'm like, I guess somebody came home with us. So I got my big piece of sage, and I told him, I put full intent, get out of the house, you don't belong here. And it felt good after that. But yeah, you have to really watch yourself in those buildings.
Yeah, people, somebody said it needs to be more normalized, But in all honesty, what people don't understand, they fear. It's human nature. I don't fault them for that. It is human nature to feel what you don't understand, fear it. But the thing is that also some people won't understand. Some people haven't been given the information they need. Some people are incapable of understanding. They really are just incapable. It's beyond their scope, their ability to grasp what's going on. And, in years past, I was more involved with the public. Mm-hmm. And that's whenever I leave the house, my wife always says, remember that Dan doesn't speak in public policy.
I'll never listen to you if you say he doesn't speak in public. No, that's not going to work.
Yeah. I grew up in New York City. I lived there 30 years. And when I first came south, I went way south, all the way down to Florida. I lived in South Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia. And when I first went down, Southern Virginia, right on the North Carolina border, and I had started my construction company down there, and I was like, I had to learn a whole new way of speaking. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I bet you did.
Oh my!
Yeah, you went.
I was not popular.
You went from one extreme to the other.
I was not popular. I got to tell you, people were, like, what are you doing there? Okay. Any more questions out there, you folks? You got any questions? Type them in. We're going to wrap this up pretty soon.
Yeah, we're just running our yaks.
Yeah.
But also with people how they don't understand, coming back to the demonology thing, there is. Just like the Bible and everything says, there is a war.
Yes.
And while you're here, whatever side you're swayed to is what side you're fighting for when you cross. Mm-hmm. So you stay in the light, you're going to be on the heavenly side. Mm-hmm. You go to the dark, you're going to be on the hell side. Mm. So you need to choose. You may think, oh, it's not bad. I like warm temperatures, but it's not going to be what you want.
I'll tell you what, I do believe that we are in the end times. And it's crazy. Now, I'm not a technophobe, I'm not a Luddite. I love technology. And I've had a blast with the internet. But I do believe that the internet was the trigger for the end times. Mm. And they went silent, looking at me like I'm crazy.
I know. I could get into a whole other conversation when you start talking about that. I see another planet, and then we could start talking about aliens, and we might have to leave this for another one because we could really get rolling. We could really roll on this one because I totally get you there. Mm-hmm.
All right, folks, this is your last chance to get your questions in. Now, is there any other experiences, anything else you want to share with the class before we stop?
But do you have any other announcements, actually, you need to?
Yeah, Melody.
Yeah, I'm going to work on announcements.
You want to tell us what they are?
Yeah, the Psychic Kids event is March 28th, and that's the Holiday Inn in Martinsburg, West Virginia. At the door, the tickets are $5 a person. or a family group is only 12. So you can check that out on Facebook. I have a group, I have an event set up for that under the Tattooed Medium Melody Brook page. So make sure you check me out on Facebook. April 4th, I will be in Essex, Maryland. I will be speaking and doing readings at History and Haunts Paranormal Expo. April 25th, I will be in Strasbourg at the Historical Paravision, and I will be speaking and doing readings there as well. The end of April till May 1st, I think it is, I will be down in Oklahoma near Texas, and I will be doing 3 nights of gallery readings where I will be, it's kind of like at a biker event, doing women empowering women, helping them out. And then in June, here in Shepherdstown, we have the Life and Death event, and that's going to be pretty interesting. I think you need to go to that too. I think you'll like this.
Life and Death more? What?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I think you would really enjoy it. I think this is an event that you're going to really like, and that's at the end of June, the 19th through the 21st.
It's in Shepherd.
It's the Clarion Hotel. I will be there too. I'll be speaking, or I'll be doing something I haven't really figured out.
What is this about life and death?
Life and death, it's going to talk about mourning and death and life itself. Like, they're going to have so many different topics.
I want to know why you think I should go?
Because I think you should.
Why?
Because you're part of this group. This is your people.
Oh, my people.
This is your people.
I thought you were going to tell me I'm going to be dead.
No.
No,
this is your people.
We'll just leave it at this is our people.
I'll make
Our
it.
people. Our people. Yes, these are my people.
In July, I'll be at the Battlefield Tattoo Convention doing readings. And in August, I'll be in Illinois at the Autism Speaks Paranormal event. And like I said, all these are on my Facebook. September 26th, I am holding the Awake Holistic Fair, and that is going to be at the Holiday Inn as well in Martinsburg. So you definitely want to come to that. I'm going to have a lot of people there doing readings as well. It's going to be kind of like the Psychic Kid event, just a little different. Go for it.
Okay. Sounds like a bunch of cool things. I hope you folks will go to them. Got a question from Caitlin now. When I was young, and I always saw this demon-like face. It followed me for years and years until one night I saw this demon head to toe. I felt its presence, and it was just staring at me. I was never hurt, but it left me alone after I saw it head to toe. All right.
Why do you feel it was a demon? What makes you think that it was demonic? That's my question.
I almost feel like she thinks because, or could have thought because it was something that wasn't normal, that it could have possibly been demonic that was following you.
Right.
I mean, please correct me if I'm wrong on that, but...
Now tell me what you saw. Like, did you see something with the eye color? Did you see a shape, a form? Because they do come in shapes and forms. They could also come in a regular form, but...
And I'll tell you, some demons could come to you looking like your favorite thing. Mm-hmm. Because that is how... That's how they get to you, you know?
Well, see, my whole family there's a family of mediums as well, so, and they all see spirits, and my brother's actually a psychic, so I get to where you see you're prone to seeing spirits, the whole family, that just kind of like runs in the blood. Why would a demon attach itself to me? So that's the thing, is I like, explain to me why you think it's demonic. That's kind of like what I'm curious about, because like Ray said, I don't know.
I actually exorcised a demon once. I was with my first wife, and I opened the front door and said, "Back to hell, demon," and she left.
Did she?
Yeah, she
Oh,
did.
good, never came back.
I thought
And
maybe you
this
said you put it on a
this
treadmill.
woman was so damn evil that even with 2 kids, the Catholic Church gave me an annulment. So that's got to tell you something.
All right, there you go.
Caitlin, why do you think it was a demon? And while we're waiting to see what Caitlin has to say, I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Don't forget, my next show is a oldies rock and roll show in the Sunday morning, 9 o'clock. And then Monday nights is my blues show. So you want to check that out. I appreciate it. And next Wednesday, classic rock. So in the meantime, maybe we'll have some more of these live interview shows if you folks would like it. Now listen, I would really greatly appreciate any comments from anybody out there that's tuned in.
Right, let us know.
Shoot me an email if you're not going to leave something in the chat box. leave something in the chat box. Would be nice.
They can also
Tell
go
us
to our
what
Facebook
you,
pages.
go to Facebook. Tell us what you thought about the show. Tell us what you thought was good and what was bad. Now, I'm not looking for you to pump my ego. If something sucked, say so.
Right? Just be
So we
straight.
know not to do it. Be honest.
Right.
If you don't, we're going to haunt your dreams.
True.
You're gonna go to sleep
coming.
tonight,
You
and
have the power.
you'll see me in a Speedo. Okay? Now, that's really scary. So,
But yeah, definitely check me out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere. The Tattooed Medium Melody Brook. Also, Ray is Light from the Ancient Word. Check him out. Also, check out my kid's special. I told her I'd give her a little quick plug. Check out Dead Dyes on Facebook. She does some amazing tie dyes. So if you like your tie dyes, check them out.
okay, Caitlin says, it never took the form of a human. It was a very strange face. When I was it as a whole, it was huge. It always left me with fear. I don't know, I guess I never thought it was anything but evil. My sister and I also did the spirit board a lot.
Well, you opened that door up.
Yeah, you opened up a door and see whatever that door, when you let it come through, because those boards, I'm going to be honest, it's like I was just talking about with there's a war.
If you don't
with-
know what you're
with
doing.
heaven and earth. You know, you go into some of these places like Spencer's and all them, and they're actually selling Ouija boards and all that crap for these kids to
Witchcraft.
play with.
Right.
To go out and open up these doors, and what they're basically doing is putting them to the dark side.
Well, because
Okay.
they don't know how to protect themselves. They don't know
Right.
how to call in the right energy.
And that's why they're doing
They
it
don't have
to the young
gatekeepers.
ones.
Like, this is something else that we could do this again. It's like talking about your spirit guides and your gatekeepers and how to protect yourself. Like, that's a whole nother subject. So, yeah, I'm sure
if
you
you
brought
folks out there
something.
would like us to do another show, tell us. You know, I mean, if this is popular, if this is something you're enjoying, then we'll be happy to come back and do some more, you know? I mean,
Do like
I'm
question
having a
answer.
blast here.
I
Would do
feel-
like a spiritual question
I
answer.
feel like whatever this thing was, it was trying to take a form, but it wasn't strong enough yet. And because it wasn't strong enough and couldn't really give a straightforward form, I feel like that's why it left you with fear, because you didn't know what it was or what it was trying to be. I feel like it was just trying to take the form of, say, of a person or something like that, something familiar. So, but I mean, the good thing here is if it's basically left you alone, because it almost feels like when you saw it, it's kind of like, "Oop, I've been caught." And then it just like, after that, it was done.
Were you doing something naughty?
It's like, whoops, I better go.
Right?
Okay. All right, we're going to wrap this up in just a minute. If anybody's got any questions, now's the time. And while we're wrapping it up, Melody, do you have anything to say to folks before we go?
No, just like I said, check us out on Facebook, and maybe we can do this again. And if anybody wants us to do like card readings and stuff, like I was pulling some cards for Caitlin and seeing what she had going on for her. But I mean, it's all really good. It says that you got good things that are coming for you. The choices that you're making are right, so don't feel like you're making any wrong choices, and that to keep following your heart. Make sure that heart center is open at all times. So that's pretty much
So
what I
what-
got for you.
Caitlin, you just had a reading. And Ray, what do you got to say to the folks before we go?
Just make sure you guys, remember what I said. Knowledge is power. Stay in the light. If you question something, go learn about it. Don't just assume you know what it is or what's going on. Find proof. It's kind of like, what was the X-Files? The truth is out there.
I love that show.
You know,
I got
did
it on
too.
DVD.
The truth is out there. You have to find it. Knowledge is power. If you want to become powerful, then you need to get the knowledge.
Right. Thanks, Lissa, for listening, I should say. Thanks for listening.
Thank
That's
you
great.
to
And
everybody
Caitlin.
for listening.
Yep. Thank you guys, all of you.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody that tuned in, and it's been great. And I'm going to leave you with a positive message, and this goes out to somebody who wonders about how do you deal with stuff and the oppression of it and all. When I talk about turning things out and actually opening yourself up, there are things that we are capable of when we believe we are. And there's actually a lot of truth to that. My best example is I was on a job site one day, a construction site, and there's a guy on a ladder, weighs over 200 pounds, big guy. And he's standing on an extension ladder, and his feet were about level with my chest. And I just knew I could do this. I walked over, I took him by the ankles. I picked him up off the ladder, held him out at arm's length, just suspended this 200-pound man in my hands for about a minute or two, and he kept looking at me like, what the hell? And I didn't even feel his weight in my hands. It was like there was no weight there. And I sent him back on the ladder. He's never talked to me since then.
Scared the heck out of him. You scared the heck out of him.
But that's actually a true story. But for those of you who are struggling with these thoughts, like Caitlin, when you were seeing that thing, that evil presence, and the other people out there that have had some experiences with this, or empaths that are overwhelmed by negative energy, focus out. Project. Empaths can project as well as take in. And you can project positive feelings onto other people. And it's like, that's why that little girl came to me the other night in China King, because I projected out an energy that was very positive and made her feel so good. She ran to me.
So you were behaving instead of the Dan doesn't speak
Well,
in public.
I'll be a lot of things. Have ain't one up. But it's difficult to be an empath. I know a lot of people like that. For me, I grew up with it, and I have had people coming to me ever since I was a child. And I'm talking, I have memories going back to 4 or 5 years old when adults would come and ask me things or tell me stories that I didn't need to hear.
Same.
Yeah.
That was really close to my nose.
Well,
We did a high five.
We missed.
we did a high five in front of Ray's face.
It was like a nose
There's a
five.
visual for you.
A nose 10.
It almost made me go across. It was an 11.
So anyway,
High five. It would be a high 6.
Right.
for the empaths out there, I feel for you. It's not an easy thing to be, but you can learn to adapt to it. And there are ways you can find to block and keep yourself safe from it. But if you hide from it, then you're going to experience the fear of it even when you're not in contact with it. So even if you can't embrace it, don't let it control you. Don't let it drive you into hiding. Live your life. Look for the positives. If you suddenly find yourself feeling really emotionally or physically drained, understand it for what it is. It's not you. Or go see Caitlin, the nurse, because it might be you.
Right.
So eliminate all the possibilities first,
But do it before June 28th.
Before June 28th, yes. But yeah, see Caitlin and or another nurse, a doctor. And I told Caitlin, I don't even need a doctor as long as she's around. We don't need doctors. But do whatever it takes to cope with it. But don't run from it. Don't hide from it. Don't go off in some safe space. You're going to be this way your whole life. So you either learn to adjust to it or your life is going to be miserable. But you have a choice. You have a decision to make. Am I going to let it beat me or am I going to beat it? And kick its ass.
Right.
All right?
Learn and understand.
Yep.
All right. Well, I have my goodbye song. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. In the meantime, everybody type in your praise or tell us we suck, whatever you want, while I play my final song and my commercial, and then I'll come back and say goodnight. Psst. Hey, you. Yeah, you, listening to the show. You know the one thing that's been around since those cave guys were living and still around? Art, right? They used to scratch it into the walls. Forget about it. I know you ain't going to do that, so I got something for you. You want to decorate your cave? Well, your house. You want to have something really nice decorating your walls, right? Yeah, of course you do. I got a tip for you. Check out artbyweeze.com. Her art is gorgeous. You can even get high-quality prints of her art starting at only $10. Go there, or drop into her studio at 700 Diamond Avenue in Martinsburg, West Virginia. Tell her Dan sent you. She'll give you 10% off. Hey, I'm looking out for you. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Please leave some comments. Tell us about it. And I think we're going to have some more of these coming up soon, so check it out. In the meantime, good night, everybody, and God bless.
It's pretty good.